What is going on, everybody? I hope you are doing well. Ah, I'm not crying, you're crying. I'm not really crying. You might be. If you are, I'm sorry. But I'm not. I'm gonna be. We took Dumpling out, so hopefully he's feeling a little better about things. Take that earbud out because we got the audio check done. Here we are again, back in Dune Awakening. Home, sweet home. Let's start out with this. Here's something we do. Boop. Still got to take them 1,000 sips. No idea. No idea how far along we are. Boy. But that's what we do. So we got a couple things on deck here tonight. First, the insanity of buildings still not being quite what we wanted them to be. Just some general activities, and also want to go over just some keys to survival. What I've learned in the time I've been playing this game right now. First off, let's check the lands we're at. See if there's anything that we need. Soft step boots wouldn't be so bad, but a spit dart, I don't think I want to do that. Nothing there. Already have a cauterizer. Sitting equivalents wouldn't be bad. Aluminum dust, huh? Pincushion pants, we already have all that stuff. Wouldn't mind seeing a dart for every man. I don't have one of those yet, believe it or not. Opifire gems for compact compactor. I don't think we have enough of those, though. We would need 10 for 500. 20 for 1,000. So we'd need 200 and some. I don't think we have that many. Nothing there. Nothing quite there. This is one of the problems you run into when you're getting items through this, but you're not really using them. Like I said, the compact compactor I use. But that would be it. There's a lot of armor in this one, though. Kill slavers. This one just opened up, too. Damn you. Be like 1,000 slavers, wouldn't it? No. Be like 500, wouldn't it? Yeah, 100 would be 2,000. 300. 500 slavers. Holy crap. Syndicate chest pieces. It's so bad. Don't care about the blade parts. This is late in the game to be killing 500 slavers, you know? It's real late in the game. Well, late in the week, I should say. Well, looks a little dry for our preferences. I'll tell you what we'll do, though. We'll go downstairs, check our little safe. See, I guarantee you I don't have enough Opifire gems. I want to put stairs there, but I can't because that's where my mural is. So we jump the handrail every time. It should be in here. 145, right? Nah, I have no idea where that was. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's right there. That'll put us at 75. It's a lot. It's a lot of fire gems. It'd be a lot of deep desert time. Plus, we need another 3,000. I think I can do that math, right? So we need 200. We got like 145. We are definitely on the closer end of that, but who knows? All right. Yikes. I got to put railing there. It's OSHA violation. Bad things are occurring. Okay, so a couple things to talk about. We are close to another batch of spice. That will give us close to 1,500. Been building up a nice little supply of that. I know it's not super fancy, and especially with a guy with a sand crawler, I should be able to do way more than that, but I'm going to still take it out into the deep desert. This is the second week that we haven't gone out to the deep desert. I do have the ability to build a base out there if I really wanted to, but it's a lot of trouble to go through just for a couple days. Kind of one of those things that if I'm going to do that, I want to do that Tuesday. You know, get out there, build it on Tuesday. Got the full week ready to roll. Get out there when I want to, when I can, etc., etc. But yeah. All right. Well, we're going to talk about our main topic tonight, which is kind of going over some of the basic survival things. What I've learned in the time I've played. I think the biggest thing I want to talk about is water. The progression of this game is actually very manageable. When you first start out, you're just a little dingleberry running around in rags, and you're relying on like dew that you get off of flowers just by hand to survive. But that's really as bad as it's going to get. Starting out, that is the worst that it's going to get. Over time, you'll be able to build containers and water traps and death stills, and you'll be able to get canteens and etc., etc. By the time you get to the end game, you're looking at something like this, where like I got 1.4 million milliliters of water, and it's actually almost full. And still building because of my wind traps. So how do you get to that route? Well, you simply progress through the game. As you move through from like the copper tools to iron tools to steel to aluminum, etc., life just keeps getting easier. And once you've found your first leader, John, even if it's just a little four charge thing, and you can start carrying water with you, then you can get a little more risky with how you run around, how you do things. But for the beginning part of the game, when you're over in the South Haga Basin, there's plenty of flowers around. They're pretty easy to find, and you just kind of stay close to that. And you're going to think to yourself that, you know, oh, water's going to be super important. It always is. Always is. I mean, you could die. But at first, don't worry about it. Just stick close to flowers, only go out at night. Once you start getting your own leader, Johns, and your ability to produce water in your own base, it's not going to take long before it's not an issue. And the best advice I could have for you on that is storage containers. You're going to pick out your construction tool, and you're going to hit the wrong button. And you're going to go to storage containers. And you can make a cistern just with some copper ingots, which you can get early on. That's what's sitting over here. Sorry, over there. I put these throughout just so like when I land, I can just run over and grab water if that's an issue. There's also one downstairs when I come in on the buggy or the sand bike, any kind of a land vehicle. Sorry, didn't mean to hit that. it doesn't hold much, but it's a container. And the more of these you have, the more water you can hold. I ended up collecting water and dumping it in there by hand. Um, I would use the Dew Reaper to get it off the flowers, put it in my little liter johns, and then I would dump them into the containers and hold them. But honestly, this guy right here, which you'll need to get to the steel world, steel level, once you get some silicone blocks and steel ingots, this right here is your moneymaker. Yeah, it's really nice to have these guys, and I have a bunch of them, but they require industrial pumps. So to be honest, it seems like that's the way this game goes. Like the medium spice refinery is good enough, but I digress. But yeah, medium water cistern, solve all your problems. The first base I built right next to a bunch of water plants because I was like, oh, I need to make sure I have a bunch of water. Oh, I'm gonna put a marker right here. Okay, good. And that did help. And every time that if you hit T, it'll tell you what time it is. They added some neat little graphics on there. Right before sunup is the best time to collect water off the plants and use your reaper, your dew sice, or whatever. And that to me was the moment that it pretty much changed from, oh my gosh, I need water. Where can I get water? I got to get some water. To, I have water. You know what I mean? But yeah, my advice on that, water is important. Yes. Stick to the flowers. Look at the flowers. But yeah, stick to the flower beds. They'll be, good enough just whenever you pass one and it's the right time, grab some dew off of it. You won't be able to hydrate beyond like the first block down at the bottom off of flowers. It won't let you get any more than that. So that's why you need the leader johns. That's why you need the reapers. But yeah, I thought, being a Dune game is going to be way more prevalent of water problems. It's not really. So yeah, playing a survival desert game based off of, if you read the books or watch the movies, he's spitting on a table is an incredible sign of honor because you're giving away your body's moisture. I could go swimming in my Olympic-sized pool of water here on Arrakis. I mean, yeah, I'm a little ridiculous about it, but hey. How do you progress through the levels? You do the find the Fremen quest. And if you do these, that'll help you progress through. So that's that. Another question I see asked a lot. Here, we're gonna head over here for just a second. I mean, this is how you get 1.3 million water. You just ridiculous amount of cisterns. Once you start building up the materials, it's not a problem anymore. I saw this question asked on Reddit, and there's quite a debate. People were asking if there really is any point of wearing a still suit in this game. And I think it's funny because I did comment on it, and I said, well, in the days of old, it's kind of a law amongst the Fremen that if you went outside of the siege without a still suit, they would kill you because you're wasting the people's water. In this game, obviously, we don't have to worry about people getting mad at us when we go outside. But do you need to have a still suit? No. The reason I say no is because by the time you're able to make really good still suits, you'll also probably have a pretty good storage of water at your base, and you'll be able to have leader johns that are ridiculously sized. I'm carrying 10,000 water with me. Why would you wear a still suit? Well, the heat protection. As you can see, I got a 0.7 heat protection versus a 1.5. Heat protection matters in certain areas when you get to spots, the heat level. if you'll notice right up here, right up at the top corner, heat level 4 is where I'm at. So it's kind of hot once we go outside. It's nighttime, so it's okay. But those still suits will definitely help you with the heat protection. It doesn't really do that much for armor. Now, I've got the fancy pants chome one, which you can make in your fabricator once you hit endgame. It's got an armor value of 195 compared to like 250 for your scout armor. I don't use the heavy stuff. I probably should, but I don't. I use a still suit though all the time. The only time I ever wear armor is when I'm expecting it to be a fight, or apparently when I'm hanging out in my house. I was out killing bad guys, and that's why I still had the armor on here. But if I'm just going to go out and go look for spice, if I don't have to wear the radiation suit, I'll wear the still suit, just because it makes it easier. I use less water. I have those still pockets on me, so. But I guess the main reason I wear a still suit is, I guess, just the nostalgia of it. The fact that I'm playing a Dune game, so, you know, the still suit, it's like the most important part. A still suit. Make a big deal about it. But do you have to wear one? No. If you have, your canteens, your liter johns, and a good supply of water? No, you do not. Do I have water problems when I'm out and about doing stuff? Yes, specifically when I'm building, because when you do this, it takes away your registration that you're running into heat problems. You can't see it all that well. So there's been times where I'm out there and I'm just building away and building away and building away, and I look over and it's flashing red. I'll be like, oh my gosh, I'm out of water. With a still suit, that's less. So when outside building, yeah, you want to wear a still suit. When you're out harvesting either flower sand or spice, I would say wear a still suit. It also gives you the ability to ignore heat stroke. When you have heat stroke, your water level goes down drastically compared to when you're just out in the sun or if you're in your base. So not having a still suit is going to make it so that you have to pay attention to that much more. And honestly, you got to pay attention to worm sign. It's the only thing that should matter out there. So I wear a still suit when I'm out harvesting spice or flower sand, or when I'm just running about, unless I have to wear the radiation suit. But if we're looking at combat and you're going to be getting fighting, now that doesn't mean like the little things with just the little camp with just 2 douchebags on it. No, you could still wear a still suit. Your shield will probably cover that. But if I was going into like a testing station or something out in the deep desert, yeah, we want to put the armor on over the still suit. So if you're expecting some decent combat, put on some armor. If you're just out farming and collecting things, I would go with the still suit. Just makes life a little bit easier. Do you have to? Well, absolutely not. But if you don't wear a still suit, make sure you're carrying water and make sure you're paying attention to it, because bad things happen when you lose water. You'll lose stamina, you'll fall down, and you can't respawn like the self-revive because you don't have any water reserves. That's what they need. You need to have some kind of a water reserve in order for that to work. So, got to be careful. But as long as you're careful, no, it won't matter. Kind of stupid statement when you think about it. If you're not careful, a lot of things are going to matter. What are some items in the inventory that you should always carry around? Okay, so for me, I like to carry a little bit of money, but doesn't really come into play. I always have some welding wire on me. Never know when you're going to be out there and a vehicle's going to have a problem. You're going to need to use it. And when you get out there, it's going to kind of suck if you don't have it. In defense, you can go to crafting and you can make some with just a tiny bit of salvage metal. So it's very easy to find. If you don't want to carry welding wire around, you're probably going to be okay. Salvage metal is one of the most easiest and plentiful resources out there to gather. And you can make it without having any kind of fabricator. You could be out in the middle of the sand and you could make yourself 100 welding wire. So it's not that big of a deal, but I prefer to always carry some around. When this gets down below 100, I'll switch it out with a full roll and put whatever the remains are into what I already have in the little chest upstairs. Let's go see how much is in there right now. And that way I keep track of how much I have, and I'm always able to fix anything I need. And I don't have to worry about it, because the less things you got to worry about, the better off you're going to be. So here, there you go. So I had 37 from the last one. I've got a bunch of rolls. The reason I have so many here is because if you remember, we were doing that minor achievement where you got to collect a bunch of materials, and I've got so much crap now, I got to get rid of it somehow. So I was like, well, let me make a whole bunch of welding wire so I don't have to do it again. Unfortunately, it only takes 5 to make this happen, so it really didn't solve all of our issues. Yes, sir. But I took you out, and it's raining right now. And somebody does not like to go outside when it's raining. He can't get wet. He's a princess, right? Right? You want to say hi? Say hi? No, make it look like I'm talking to nothing. Like a weirdo. What are you doing? Say something. Say something. Not gonna say a word. I was streaming earlier in Battlefield 6, and between the break, I was sitting here petting him and little Mr. Black and White Cat that you could see back there, I think, maybe. Just barely. Jumped on me and then started to fall, so he did the claw thing, and then I yelled. That scared him. Scared me, too. And then we tried to go potty, but we can't because it's raining. Oh, I should mention that. It's raining, and the utilities here suck. So in the event that I just suddenly disappear, that's why. So be prepared for that, just in case it happens. Yes, back to welding wire. So there we go, welding wire. There he is. Another thing is fuel cells. You see, I always have a good stash here, and I try to keep 2 in every one of my vehicles. This makes them unpocketable, but I'm not real worried about that. I don't do that often, and when I do, I can just take these and put them on my backpack. But this way I can hop in a vehicle and go do my thing. It's terrible to see a spice bloom and be like, oh, let me go grab that, jump into your Thopter, and you got a low fuel warning. So always have these on hand. And then also, in the stuff that I've been doing, I've been catching a lot of broken, like mostly broken, Mark V welding torches, which Mark 6 is better, but Mark 5 is just fine. And I stick these in here, and I'll just switch them out as I need it with the one that I'm using. Now, this one was fresh, and I made this one, so we got a lot of use out of this, but I know I don't have to make welding torches anytime soon. So, yes, fuel cells, a little bit of money, some welding wire. What else? You want to take some healing kits, whether you use the toilet paper rolls or if you use like the Mark II fancy ones. Keep some equipped, keep some in your backpack. This allows you, if you want, to get into some trouble and start misbehaving on a much larger scale. And you don't have to worry about getting yourself into a situation where you find that you don't have enough healing supplies on you. I actually violated this rule. One day I went out to the deep desert, was like, oh, let me do one of these testing stations. And it was the one that had like the 6 waves of enemies, and I was doing it by myself. And I did not check this beforehand. I didn't think it was the one. I thought it was the one where I just had to bite my way through it. I didn't think that I had the 6 waves. So we ended up getting ourselves killed and had to respawn out of it, which was terrible because it was a big, huge waste of time. And we didn't get any rewards for it. And the main reason, I lost halfway through the 5th wave by myself. I was kind of proud of that. But yeah, I lost because I just didn't have enough of these. So this is kind of overkill for Haga Basin. There's very few things that I'm going to get myself into this much trouble with that these guys are going to be necessary. But this is kind of just what I carry around. So always make sure you've got healing supplies. I started carrying a radiation suit everywhere I go. There are a few areas, like the Hagar Rift, where you need to have a radiation suit, anything you do over in Shoal, and I find that there's a ton of spice blooms over there, so that's where I'm constantly going. So that way I can just pop this on and I don't have to worry about the radiation. I used to do the iodine pills as well. It's been my experience that they aren't necessary. I'm never going into areas enough that the extra little 3% diminish the iodine pills give you really make all that much of a difference. I guess if I was doing some of these things, like these caves here, they can go kind of down in there, and they can also have some higher radiation levels. So maybe having iodine pills with that is worth it. I'm not sure. I don't do it. Take your pick. It's just something on you. And honestly, I tend to use them accidentally more than anything else. Something interesting while we're here. If you look at Shoal, I'm at 95% completion. I have been to both of these places, but they won't clear off. I don't know why. As you can see here, I'm at 7 out of 6 because they added one, I guess. But I don't know. Maybe we'll try to clear those off. We'll throw that radiation suit on, see if we can clear these things off and make them go away. I don't know why they haven't. But anyway, radiation suit. Definitely something that's kind of worth the extra 6 spots. I use a Mark 5, could use a Mark 6. Mark 5 does fine. You'll see I carry a still suit and my scout armor. You could leave it in your base. Depends on whether or not you want to keep going back or forth. That's up to you. I like to carry them all. It does make me a little heavy, but I can usually do a spice field without having to drop it off in the ornithopter or the vehicle. So I do all right. But yeah, you don't have to carry both. Like I said before, talking about this, if you're carrying enough water, the still suit's not going to make that big of a difference. So it's up to you. I have these. These are my soft step boots. So when I'm doing spice, I don't have to worry about the worms as much. But as you can see, I don't wear them with the offset. I will change into the still suit before I go spice harvesting or something like that. But so I carry actually extra set of boots. I probably should get rid of these or leave them back here at the base, because if I put the still suit on, I'm probably wearing these. So that would save me 1 volume, but whatever it is. Your hand scanner. Kind of a mixed feeling on this. It is handy, but it's not handy enough that it's required. I would suggest that if you're going to do missions, like if you're just going out to get resources, leave it. Doesn't matter. It's only 1 volume, so again, what do you do? But then say that 70 times and look where you're at. But if you're doing campaign missions and any of the journeys, I would bring that along, because every time I've done a mission that required the use of the handheld scanner, it was sitting in a chest back at my base every single time. So then I would have to stop the mission and I have to go back and find it, because I never remembered where the hell I put it, and then go back and start up all over again. So if you're doing anything that's someone's telling you to do this and it's up in the left-hand corner, bring your handheld scanner just in case. Saves you from having to run back and forth. The next thing of stuff that I carry is like this. I have a Mark 6 power pack, an extra suspensor belt. That is in case these guys break while I'm out in the field. I did have an extra Holtzman shield. I should probably be carrying an extra one. This one is definitely needed repair, and this one is getting to be trash time. But I always carry an extra one, even though they can be a little heavy. I mean, 0.1, 0.3, and what's this? 0.2, so it's not even 1. It doesn't even deserve that. But it does take up 3 spots, and you only have 35, so it's basically a tenth of your inventory. But what that does is you don't want to be halfway through a testing station and then get a message that your power pack's about to break, or be out in the deep desert mining and find out your power pack's about to break, because everything runs off the power pack. Your cutter array, your compactor, your shield, your suspensor. Always carry an extra power pack. Don't care what kind, and even if it's maybe a broken one, I would switch these out if I was getting ready to go do something, just because I don't need this to become an issue. But this is actually getting real bad. We're going to have to address this tonight before we go do stuff. So that pretty much covers everything. I got this little light because I had to go do the ship in Seoul, the big ship, and it's really dark and scary in there. So I grabbed this glow tube, and it's only 0.1. Takes up a spot, which it blows, but it's a handy little thing that if you need it, you need it. If you're not going to be going anywhere near any kind of bad spots, then you don't have to carry it. And I'm carrying these two weapons because these are the ones that I have been using, and I've been trying out learning how to use these special ones, the purple. So the burst that I have to charge up, and then the triple shot rifle that doesn't have a scope. And I carry these just in case I think, you know what, I'm not real thrilled with this right now, and I just want to switch back to what I know best. That's why I'm carrying these. Otherwise, I wouldn't. So that's my layout. And then, of course, we've got Palace Servant trousers for some reason. I was doing the murder mystery thing. Again, carry your scanner when you do that one. And then all this stuff I can't get rid of. I think I can, but I don't know if I'm supposed to or not. Can't move them, can't take them away. But they don't take up this number, if I'm not mistaken. It's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. They don't take up spot, but I've seen it before where like I filled up and things have gone over. We got to get these trousers away. So that is what I would suggest that you carry when you are out and about. Good Lord, man. If you've done, so this isn't really a spoiler, but if you've done the chapter 2 mission or whatever it is, do I need to keep these? Like, did I need to bring the servant's trousers? I don't think I needed to have them. Could have left them at home. I don't know why I kept that. But anywho, so yeah, that's what I run out and use. So just some tips there and some kind of foresight or thinking ahead a little bit. We're going to come over here and we're going to fix our shield and our suspensor belt. And we might as well. When you're getting ready to head out, I would suggest that you make sure everything's good. And if something needs to be a little repaired, now's the better time than later to find out about that. Something like this where it's 95, 93. Don't worry about that right now. It's not that big of a deal. But things like that, Holtzman shield, that was running low. And actually, yeah. So, let's talk about that. With the repair glitch gone, there's a whole ton of people that are going to have to start wondering about gear that has permanent damage. That's what this red mark is. And at first, I was kind of living under the theory of like, when something got halfway broken, get rid of it, get a brand new one. To an extent, that can work. Early on in your journey, this is expensive. Expensive to replace some of this stuff, because you just don't have the wealth of materials. As you progress in the game, you get further on, certain things are going to be far more readable or plentiful. Let's come running over here real quick, and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. That's you. So, underwater, right here. If we wanted to make another Mark 6 leader, John, right? and that has 20,000 capacity. So that's more than the ones that we usually use. We need some water that we aren't going to care. That's a little pricey. 55 plastinium ingots to make one. Yikes. 62 silicone blocks. It's not really that much. It's a little harder now that silicone blocks aren't that easy. It's not flour sand. It's a little more dangerous. These atmospheric filtered fabric, you have to go to certain places to get. I seem to have a bunch. And then, of course, it takes melange. So making these is very, very pricey. I think the other one should be in here. Here we go. So this one has the 10,000 capacity. This is the one that I usually use. It's 15 volume, so it's a lot, but it saves your life. It's not quite as expensive. So less water, but the aluminum ingots. So you need to mine some aluminum stuff. Microfiber that comes from like the caves when you cut the doors open, and you'll find it in the chest. Insulated fabric's a little harder to get, but it doesn't cost that much. So at this point that I've been, hoarding up materials, I'm like, dude, why not just do it? But up until this point, it's not worth it to throw something out that's half used and recycle it just to come down here and make another one, because none of this stuff cares about that red line. It will continue to work until it's all the way down here with this yellow line. And then when you fix it, it's fine. It can be kind of a pain in the butt. Like this guy here is starting to get a little low. It's going to be like I repair it, and then I'll go out and I'll get shot a couple times, or something will happen that'll cause some wear and tear on this, and it'll almost immediately flag me and say, hey, it's broken. That's when you want to think about getting rid of materials. When they turn orange as a whole, like this guy. So even if I fully repair it, it's going to stay orange. This one, I could repair it and it would be okay. But because of how low this is, and you can see how much damage it has or how much life it has, this Mark 6 cutter array is going to break almost as soon as I use it. So this, in all honesty, shouldn't be here. It should be in a chest upstairs getting ready to be recycled. Once it starts turning orange and there's just no more space, I would say about 85%, chuck it. Make a new one. Until then, you should be good. It's highly doubtful that you're going to get yourself into a situation that is so extended that material's like you're gonna be doing so much stuff that anything that's not orange isn't going to suffice. At some point, you'll be able to get out. You'll either finish it or just leave. You know what I mean? You do get yourself locked into certain areas, so but those are like testing stations and places, missions that have that kind of a situation. Otherwise, you're pretty safe to run that gear up until about the 80-85%. The exception to this, and to almost any one of those scenarios, is the deep desert. I wouldn't go out to the deep desert with anything less than 50%. Because of the transit time involved, and also the importance of the areas you're in. Deep desert bad guys are a lot stronger, so it's going to take more to kill them, and they're going to deal out more damage. And there's also the potential of other players out there. So if you're going up against other players with almost completely broken equipment, that's going to spell bad news for you. But as long as it's not orange in the background, use it till it breaks, man. Yeah, don't fix it if it's working. So that's what I would suggest to you. I have actually, when it turns orange like that and can't be repaired much beyond what does orange, I usually will look at it and it'll tell me, oh, something's about to break. And if I repair it and I look at it, be like, yeah, you're just about done. I'll usually make another one, and then we'll do one more round with the one that's about to break, just to get as much use out of it as I can. At that point, it gets trashed. Exception to that would be vehicles. I would not play around with the health on vehicles. The things that are going to wear out are going to be your moving parts, like your treads on sand bikes and buggies and whatever that wheel thing is called. And then your wings on your ornithopters, as well as your generators, your engines, your CPUs. Or GPUs, I guess it is. Those are, yeah, it's CPU, I think. Those are the things that you're going to see break the most often. This scan module, this thing has been busted since the day I put it on there. It just keeps on trucking. It doesn't care. Why would I want to replace it? It still works. The reason I say that your engines and that is because when you're in a vehicle, you're able to go much farther than you can on foot. Duh. It's gold stuff. You were getting a wisdom for that one. But anyway, you could get stranded. You could get stranded far from home. That's no bueno. Second thing is if you're out in the deep desert in an ornithopter, one of the easiest things to take damage are your wings. So if you do end up getting jumped or in a fight out there with other players, don't give them the advantage of your wings already being halfway destroyed when the fight starts. So start wondering or concerned about them once they hit half damaged. Once they hit 50% is the most you can repair them. Probably time to get rid of them. I have a few wings. It's you. No, it's not you. Could be you. So I have some wings here. These are all wings that I've found through different activities. That's why they all have like the same amount of life and the same amount of health on them. Once they get around this mark, it's a little dangerous. I would not go into the deep desert with these, but I would pop them on and run around Haga Basin with it. As long as I'm not, getting too crazy. I actually need to make a brand new set of Mark 6 wings so that I can burn through these and the ones that are on mine, because mine are getting a little low. And we'll call it there. But yeah, wings, don't ever play around with your wings. Same thing with treads, same thing with engines, CPUs, and generators, because you can find yourself stranded. And at that point, then on foot, you're going to have to go out, find a way to repair it, either get back to your base and so you can make the things here in your own fabricator, or potentially buy them if you're carrying enough money. In my case, I usually am not carrying enough money. Don't want to get yourself stranded. It's almost like the concept of a spare tire. Unfortunately, though, we don't have a trunk to stick it in there. That doesn't affect our daily operations. And with this guy here, doesn't even have space. With this guy, if we were to put a brand new set of wings, because we're a little worried that they're down to, 60%, that would require our entire bottom row with the fuel cell that we usually carry. Almost half of your storage space is going to be taken up by replacement parts. Just replace them when you're there. Buggies are a little more forgiving, so are sand bikes. So with the buggy, if you had a couple extra treads and some engine GPU, you're still well over half of the amount of space that you could have. But the thing that's terrible about these is like wings and treads and stuff, they're very small. So it does nothing for this right here, but it takes up spots that you don't have. And you don't want to do that because that's going to interfere with whatever you're out there doing. You're going to If you're out mining with a cutter array on a buggy and it tells you that your storage is full, you've done a good job. If it tells you that your storage is full because you've run out of slots, but you still have a ton of volume that you could have used, you screwed up. Yeah, you could put them onto your person if you have the space, but yeah, just that would be the exception as far as breakage goes. You don't want to play around with vehicles, but your own personal stuff should be just fine. Ornithopters will change your life. When you first get your sand bike, you're able to move around Haga Basin, and you can get out of South Haga Basin into like the Vermilius Gap and all that stuff. Makes that crossing so much easier. But sand bikes still have some limitations, like the area that we're in right now. If we were to look around, like there's only a few entry points into these areas. We've got huge walled cliffs and stuff for these shield walls. Makes it kind of an issue. Also, you could be scooting across drum sand or quicksand if you're heading into this area. This is just nothing but quicksand. So it can be dangerous, but you get an ornithopter, man, you don't care about none of that crap. You just take off. You want to try to get an ornithopter as quickly as you can. I think you can get access to ornithopters right here. So once you get to the aluminum phase of life, that would be a clear goal. Burn through everything else until you get to here. So you don't have to spend time like you get your first buggy and you're like, oh, I'm going to go out and mine a bunch of stuff. I wouldn't. Get to the aluminum phase. That's when life's really going to change. So there you go. Those are just basically some of my tips to make your life a whole lot easier in this game and give you the chance to discover different things and different ways that you can play. So don't worry about water, but worry about water. And once you get to a certain point where you don't have to worry about water anymore, you won't ever have to. Stick close to flowers and look for leader johns anytime you can, and then get your reapers where you can take them off the flowers at a certain time. Slow and steady wins the race. Once you start building a reservoir inside your home base, water's not so much of an issue. Broken equipment, depending on how important it is and how long you plan on being out, don't just trash things because they're 60, 50%, 40%, even 30. Once it gets down to the point where it's turning orange almost instantaneously, that's when it's time to break. For your inventory, always make sure you got a little bit of money, a little bit of welding wire, some fuel cells, and plenty of healing supplies. Everything else, it's up to you, but my suggestion is for these items over here, always carry a backup. If you don't carry a backup, like I don't need to have this dispenser belt. This one I found in a mission. I was like, I'll keep that. I have a bunch of these, but I just kept it on there. This one's got a lot of life. So I honestly don't really have to have it. I could save my 0.2 volume. The 0.2 is not the issue. The 20 out of 35 is. So this we could leave behind. This is great. These are a little low. But yeah. And still suits versus armor. Depends on what you're doing. I'd carry a radiation suit wherever you go. You don't need a hand scanner unless you're doing missions, at which point I would highly advise you to carry that thing along. And that's about it for my advice. Other than that, have fun. Make it a rush to get the ornithopter, and then don't worry about it. Then just experience the game at your own pace, however much you want to do. I could honestly do without the Mark 6 gear. It is better. It is faster. But it's not required. And you've seen me fly around in the Mark 5 stuff all the time. But the initial ornithopter you get will be a Mark 4. And although it's liberating, the 5 is better. The 6 is better as well, but doesn't matter too much. Is that spice? That would be some spice right there. Man, I love shoal. Alright, so we will drop out some of this stuff. And we'll make sure to put on our still suit and our soft step boots. And we're going to go get ourselves some spice. Another thing I like about spice mining in shoal, there's nothing to worry about. There's no drum sand, there's no quicksand, none of that goofiness. I thought I hit the wrong button, actually. I remember in the early days, I used to come across some spice blooms where people would just land and grab the stuff in the middle because that was the most productive parts. You get out here on the outsides, even though you get a big pile, it's not so much, you know. I have always been the kind of guy that I make sure I get all 580 out of this. That's what my character can get with my skills and adjustments. I guess I should talk about those too. A majority of this game is scavenging and surviving. Yes, there are fights, but you only get into the big fights when you purposefully are getting into the big fights. And PvP can be almost 100% avoided. So my skill trees are all built on planetologist stuff. So you get the bonuses for harvesting spice, for cutter array stuff, things like that. And like the vehicle changes, so that when I repair, I have less perma-damage stuff, etc., things like that. I do not do combat skills. Would it be useful? Sure would. Not as useful as the other stuff, though. I do way more scavenging than I do fighting. If I were going to, say, get tired of scavenging crap and be like, you know what, I want to start... Why am I still red? Be like, you know what, it's time for me to start being a menace. Then I would respect my skills and I would stop doing this kind of stuff. And I would focus more on just combat. Once we're in a place that's a little more safe, I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. I do this. That's kind of scary. There's like rumblings and explosive sounds over here. What are y'all doing? I don't trust none of you. Cheesy little bastard. I heard him. That's what I was talking about. When you're harvesting and you see a worm, get 400 meters between you and it. That should be safe. People have been saying that, you know, now you got to go to 450 because of Sky Halud, where he glitches himself out of the sand. Honestly, if you're facing glitches, doesn't matter if you're 700. Christ. I mean, we can't prepare for everything. I usually go to 400, or at least until the little radar thing, the worm sign, stops. At that point, you're safe. I don't know if you saw it, but I did. Straight ahead of me in shoal, there is another spice bloom. Right there. That shit probably gonna get 8 soon. So told you. So yeah, there's some spice out there. So we're safe and in the air right now. We're gonna come over here, make sure we get all of this over. 587, that's a good total. Usually it's like 583 to 585 I'm real happy with. We'll escape, we'll hit I for our inventory, and we're going to just hit F here, and that puts on our radiation suit. And now we're going to go into shoal because that is the bad zone. Basically anything beyond these rocks is guaranteed to be in radiation. You're going to get some good height. We'll vulture in as fast as we can, hit the ground, grab what we can, and zip back out. And I'll show you, I mean, you've seen it if you watch my content, but we'll go over basically what, oh look, there's more spice even further in. Dude, shoal, I'm telling you. Shoal. But yeah, so we'll actually see how the radiation works here and why I don't bother with iodine pills when we're doing short little runs like this. Always land right off the side there. Drops me out here. And I start from the outside edge. And I do those two. And that should cut clean sand all the way through, right around to the center. And then from here, it's just spiraling out. Do the edges and then see what's left here. Got a little tiny piece, so we'll drop one right there in the middle. That'll cut in. Should be one right about out here. I usually do 2, at the most 3 per time. Mainly because if a worm comes and he makes me go hide, I mean, I can go right over here to any of these rocks. But there is a timer once you pop that to when it will just disappear. They don't stay there forever. I am basing that 100% on word of mouth. I have never seen it because I don't allow it to happen. I'm spending the time to gather this stuff. I'm going to pick it up for sure. You can see now we're wearing a... Nice. We're wearing our radiation suit, so you can see that heat stroke really cut into our water supply there. Bastard. Here I am, 400. We're going to hover above this little area. Should be fine. And while we're safe, we'll go ahead. Now, I do this just because I want to make sure I got it all. You can, if you don't care, just pile it up together. But that's why I do that. That's why you see me doing that. This time when we hit the ground, we're going to hit 5. Fill up our water, so now we don't have to worry about it. This is so when I'm here, the only thing I have to worry about is worm sign. And if I was in the deep desert, out in the PvP possible zones, the only thing I got to worry about is worms and dingleberries coming out of the sky trying to kill me. I don't want to have to worry about water. That's just one less thing I need to pay attention to. So I think a little bit of this will be left. Yep. We drop this right in there. That should get almost all of it. There might be a little corner right here. Yep. Well, that's a big corner right there. How much was this? We just pulled 18.26, so 8. There you go. Should be done. Doo-doo. So now I'm about 1/8 of the way through. We're going to do one other thing because this is coming up as a camp that I can't seem to unlock. Luckily, it's on the way to that other little plot of spice that we saw. So where is this camp? Up top here, maybe? No. Right there, right? I don't need fuel cells. Only one of them here? I don't need beer either. Drink water. I have to see if it counted that. I did a whole sweep through the entire show when I was working on the getting the irradiated slag for the Landsrad task. And I went through and cycled everything twice, and it didn't count it. So I don't know if it was just a bad day, server issue, or what. Let's come over here. And now I'm a quarter of the way through, so we're going to actually get out of the radiation zone, let that little radiation counter go all the way down, then we'll go back after that other piece of spice. 586, pretty good total. Still plenty of space. Radiation thing is gone. It's right down there. I don't really see any more after that, but it should be all right. And then literally it's just the same thing that I do every single time. Land right on that side. Pull out our compactor. And we'll go to it. 2 things to cut a hole to the center, and then we just work our way back around. It does kind of damage my calm when I see people out in the deep desert who, when they're compacting by hand, they leave sections. They just like do the run, and then, you know, you come up to it and there's all these little spots in the middle where they didn't overlap properly. I'm like, a bunch of savages. It's usually safe to land on a piece of the spice patch because a worm should come and chase you away. So you can reposition then. He's going to get summoned real soon. Plenty of time. And now, because we made sure that we got out of the radiation zone. Ooh, look at that. Came close. He tried. We got plenty of time. So we can hang out here for quite a while. We'll come back in, and we're going to park in some of the area that we just cleared. Finish up. Boop. Let's drink some water while we're waiting. I have absolutely no idea how close to the 1,000 I am. No clue whatsoever. It could be 800. It could be 80. No idea. Feels like I've been doing it forever. Doesn't mean I have. That is for an achievement to drink 1,000 sips of water. I guarantee you the amount of water I've drank, but I guess it doesn't count when you grab it from a cistern or from like the little little water things that you find inside of testing stations, stuff like that. Apparently those don't count. We loosened up on our base here. I did have all these shut down because I wasn't using it and didn't need it. And we turned them back on because now they shut off when the water's full, which is great. Huge quality of life change. Super excited about that. 585, so we did good. We're at about half fuel. This is another thing. Don't let your fuel get down so low that it becomes a problem. If you get the little sign there that says low fuel, you kind of already screwed up. If you're not in a bad area where you don't have to worry about anything, like you're not getting killed, you're just flying around here, that low fuel area, you can probably fly across the map, or like in an ornithopter, you could just vulture. Ground vehicles, they're going to constantly use fuel. I don't like to let mine get below half before we refuel. And now we'll see that the medium-sized fuel cell that we used is gone, but it still didn't fill us all the way up. At this point, we will go to our inventory, and I will bring this over and put this in my pocket. It's only 3.3. It's not bad. I only go with mediums. You could bring small. Smalls don't give you a whole lot of fuel, obviously. Larges give you a whole bunch of options. They're a little big, though. A little little heavy in the volume. So I think the mediums, again, mediums are the best route to go. But yeah, I transfer it over, and we'll go ahead and we'll just top everything off. That's one less thing I got to worry about. Everything looks like it's running here. Couldn't tell you last time. It was earlier on in the week. We did leave the machines running, so we should have taxes are paid. Yay! Yeah, everything's on, and there should be materials. So we made some of these. Yep, that was just clearing out spaces. Let's go to our buggy. Got quite a bit there, huh? I'm going to go ahead and turn you... Water is full. So I can do 23. Why not, right? How much duraluminum can I make? A whole ton. So the reason I have so much jasminium is because I was doing that 10,000 mining thing, so I've got excess amounts of that. And we've been just trying to get rid of it. So I'll tell you what, we're going to actually click the big button. We're going to make 800 duraluminum. Do I need that? I don't know. Worst case scenario, we'll go sell it somewhere. And this should be empty because any strontium that was in there would have gotten used. So we'll go ahead, turn this off. Does it matter that you turn vehicles or machines off when you're not using them? Not really. It does have one important effect, and that is with this number right here. So let's say you go down here and we go to our console, right? So we go to our console. We got 3 days worth of power. Okay. On my roof, I've got 3 turbines. We'll go up and actually look at them. Right here. So these turbines are down quite a bit. Only got 11% left. I don't think I have any in this base. I do not. So we need to get some industrial grade lubricant down here. But each one of these things is generating 350, right? Say I've got everything on, and it's 1200. If this thing shuts down, it takes the 350 off of here, which immediately is going to put me below the power usage, which means it's going to fault. When it faults, everything shuts off. If your using power does not come in below your generated power, the whole base shuts down. And when the whole base shuts down, that's when your shields drop. Now, it used to be a problem where people could draw bad guys over in and stand behind your console. Stand behind your console and have them shoot it, and then that would destroy your console, and then they could steal your base. They can't do that anymore. But what will happen is, with no shield, anytime a storm rolls through, you can start taking some damage to your building. And the more damage you take, including to the stuff that's up here, the more damage that you take, things are going to start breaking down, and you may log in and find your base is completely gone. You're going to be like, dude, what the hell happened? I had plenty, I had 3 days worth of power. Easy. I had 3 days worth of power, but because that one unit shut off and your total consumption was higher than your generated, everything shuts off. I guess technically what they could do is when everything shuts off, all those refineries and stuff down there should go into an off position and not be able to just come back on. Like when the base realizes it faults out, everything's shut off, and then your generators will pick back up, and next time you come in, you'll be like, hey, why is everything off? I leave this stuff on all the time. But that's what happens. And I think a lot of people have experienced their base shutting down and getting destroyed by the elements because of this fact, because they left everything on, and when one unit failed, that was enough to drop it below the amount of power that they were supposed to be using, and the whole thing shut down, and down went their shields. So we know that we have an issue down here. Yeah, they're all going to be the same. So I've got 3 days worth of usage out of these guys. They turned on because we started to make things here. Inside this little room here is where I got my generators. And you'll see these guys have 13 days worth of usage. And I've got a bunch of fuel cells here. So how come I'm showing up with the problem there? Well, it's because the units on the top are going to drop me below my number. And that's what it's all basing itself off of. So even if I were to go in here and click on a button to use all the fuel cells I have in this base to refill them, this number shouldn't change. So I just used them all up. We'll go check it just to make sure so I'm not talking. Come on. So I'm not talking out my butt. But all these generators should be at 100. But because those top units are going to shut down in 3 days, that's when my base is going to fault out. Boom, look at that. I got 20 days. Like, dude, I got 20 days worth of power. What's going on? I don't have 20 days worth of enough power. So we're going to have to get some we're going to have to get some lubricant down here. Now, I do have the ability to make it in this, but I don't think I've got any silicone blocks. Yeah. So we need just a tiny bit of silicone block. I've got a ton of spice residue down here. Good number of fuel cells, even though I just used a bunch. Why do I only have 1,500 water? That's dumb. Oh, is it because I just used so much? Wow, I did. I used so much. Holy cow. I wasn't paying attention when I did the ginormous amount of aluminum or duraluminum. Oops. Let's get back out here and turn everything back on. Because only those two should be running. Everybody else should be off. What's up? Hi. Yes, I love you too. Stop doing that. Stop doing all of that. Okay, so see, with all these units on, I'm at 1,100, so I'm actually kind of close there. I should have more power than I actually do, just to be safe. I would only use the survival fabricators that I have down there. I'd only really use them when I'm actively making something, and then I would turn them off. So 1,100 is pretty much where I'm going to be all the time. My suggestion as far as base power is to be able to only use at any given moment 3/4 is the most of your power that you want to be able to use. That way, if you leave everything on and forget about it, you don't set yourself up for a potential problem. Whereas, you know, if 1 unit or 2 units go down without you knowing it, it's able to shut off your base, shut off your shields, right? All right, little man. Can I do my thing? He puts up with it. You're thrilled, aren't you? Are you thrilled? Nah. Not getting down. I'm not holding him. All right, I'm going to put you down though now. Okay, say goodbye. Bye, everybody. Guarantee you he'll be back up here very soon. So, yeah, with the 2 main units on, I think might still have another one shut down. But yeah, we're at 1100 out of 15. I'm okay with that. We just got to make sure we get some industrial lubricant down here within the next several days. Probably do that after we're done here. Yeah, these guys, these survival ones, they stay off. The only reason I have these here is for that right there. I don't have any silicone blocks. I don't have any plant fiber to feed them, but I'm capable of making my own filters down here in case bad things happen. This, again, isn't so much of a big deal now that the wind traps upstairs will shut off once the base is full. So I could probably get rid of these things if I really wanted to, but you know what? Just leave the power off and everything's fine. Is this guy shut down? It is. Let's see what happens. Ooh, that's pricey. Wow. We are barely running, folks. Barely running. Having both of these guys up, ugh, that's a little scary. But it's working. We don't ask that much out of this base. It's able to do what it needs to. So, there we are. Let's see. That was an overflow. I don't think I want to bring all that. Still got some down here too. It's good. It's all right. We're going to be making a bunch of duraluminum. Junk in that box. Some weird stuff in here, but this is also where I used to put all my fuel cells. So now we know the fuel cells are completely gone. That creates a tiny bit of a problem. Down here, I've got a small chest off to the side, and that's where I keep my iodine pills. And I've got backup unrepaired Mark V suits, Mark IV there. And you'll see here I've got some that I just didn't trust or need to do a repair for. I guess I could put a repair facility in this base if I wanted to. Something to think about. Need more power though. There's my little water cistern, as you can see. Oh, sorry about that. It's my little water cistern. And there was one up there too. So that adds access to everything that's in the room that's above our heads right here. But I don't have to go in there. So we're heading out again. Drink. Apparently we're going to put a Band-Aid on. And let's go see what we can find. Now I'm still wearing the radiation suit, which is great because this lets me just fly through here. That area right off my wings is like extra dark, but you can't have a spice blow out that far. Let's see one anywhere near. So it looks like we are done with Shoal. I'm actually going to head back to the base, drop off the spice that we did harvest. And I should be able to get a batch going. I think we've got enough. I think we needed about 1,000 and we've got 1,500. So that should be great. We'll get that going. And we're going to start making a whole bunch of industrial grade lubricants that will shuttle down to the monastery instead of making it down there, since we just used all the water with other stuff. Hey, we got a storm. Is that thing coming or going? It's going. Sweet. Less to worry about. So as we're coming back to home sweet home here, an issue I have with my base, seems like it never ends, is this damn hangar. Assaults still don't come out of this hangar without scraping and banging. It doesn't matter. It doesn't actually cause them damage, as far as I know. But not only have we built the roofing and put some cool stuff, and we started decorating this upper hangar, which perfect. Everything's great with this upper hangar. Put all the stuff on the outside here with the different decor and the building materials and shit. And now we are potentially not big enough for two things. Number one, like I said, Assault Thopters keep banging their way out. That sucks. This was supposed to stop that. Apparently it didn't. I added an entire standard width, an extra wall here, and I'm still scraping as I come out. And we ended up lifting this whole ceiling and everything. Second issue I have is I put these stairs in here so I could get up there, because since I wasn't using the carry-all, I would just suspensor belt my way. Excuse me. Suspensor belt my way into it. And I didn't like that, so I built stairs. And these stairs have really made it hard to get to, as you could see with this on the landing pad. I know I could move it up closer, but you could see over here, you know, we're right up against this stairwell. There's no good way to fix this. The only way to fix it would be to tear out all of this stuff here and move it further out so that I could move everything over one or two spots, which would then give me the space. You know, even if I just was able to move it one over, this would be enough space to get through. But to do that, we would have to tear this wall out and put this kind of thing in here. And we'd have to tear these guys down and angle them out. And that, of course, is going to make all of that have to change. And that is so much space because of a stairwell. I thought about trying to bring it from here, like up into there, but that's not how that hangar works. Those walls end on this side, and I've got like water supply and stuff out there. So I've got two major problems. And if you read the description completely, you'll know that I mentioned the Panama Canal. I love history. I like reading about a whole lot of different historical aspects, whether it's like military or civilizations or whatever, even architecture and engineering. And one of the stories that was amazing to me was the Panama Canal. People very early on realized that being able to quickly get from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean would be really handy, instead of going all the way down underneath South America to come to it. If there was a way to get through the center, and looking at it, you can see that Central America is much thinner than Brazil, Argentina cut, or cutting straight through the United States, obviously. So they did some surveys and looked at some areas, and they found the part where the Panama Canal is currently built was the easiest, not easy, the easiest place to make a canal that could join the two oceans. And it was a task that was taken on by several different people prior to the United States who finished it. It was a French project, and they thought they could be able to do it because they had just recently done construction on the engineering people had designed the Suez Canal. However, it's different because digging a canal through a mostly sandy area is a lot different than cutting through mountains, things like that. And when the United States took over from France, they were looking at the equipment that the French had left them, and it wasn't in the best of shape. And in one specific warehouse, they found a whole bunch of ruined torches, like ceremonial type torches. and they were all packed away and had just corroded and were useless. It was just scrap metal now. What that was for the opening ceremony. The French had purchased these things and shipped them there so that when they opened the canal, they could put torches, so decorative torches all the way along for the opening ceremony. And then they ended up not being able to finish it and sold the project off to someone else. The money they spent on those was wasted. It's just completely wasted. The materials they bought with the money they spent never got used. And it's basically when you're planning way too far ahead. So this is my, almost fell off the edge. This is my celebratory torches, because I really think this is kind of cool and I like it. And if I need to move this thing out one, this whole thing's going to have to get torn apart. And the time and effort I spent on putting all this together to just tear it apart so I could move it one. It's no bueno. And there's nothing for it. If I were to move this guy out one, none of it can be salvaged. Like, I have to tear this wall down and put it up here, and then this would become like the new barrier, and then I would have to continue these lines, but they're not there. And then these guys are going to be out. So the whole thing is going to have to come down. And it's also not going to line up properly. Oh, good, my taxes. As you can see here, this is as far out. I can't build a wall on this. So there's so much going into moving that hangar out just one, all because of a set of stairs. I'm seriously thinking of taking those stairs out of there. I mean, all I did there was just make it look the same on each side, and I'm not really thrilled about it, but it is kind of nice to be able to, let's switch to this. I can scoot through that little spot right there. It is kind of nice to come up here, and I got some worm statues that I started decorating this, and then I realized that my Assault Thopters keep smashing on their way out. This is far too big. Doesn't need to be as big as it is, but this is what it ended up coming out as. It's nice to come up here like this, but not nice enough to destroy everything downstairs. So I think we're going to have to get rid of this and go a different route. Something that frees up, because it's just difficult to navigate. Doesn't happen often with this guy because I don't use it that often. Happens a lot with this one because I use that assault all the time, and then pain in the butt. Moral of the story is, don't be like the French and start putting out decorations and making cool architectural things when the actual hangar itself isn't big enough to fit the way you want it to. Make sure the basic area, the starting point, is exactly where you want it, and then you could worry about making cute symbols and decorations with walls. Don't be like me. But yep, there you are. Let's tell you what, we're not going to go to Shoal anymore. So let's go ahead and we will equip for ourselves. That's not what I want. That's what I want. That's what I want. There we go. Now we're in our still suit. So we got to do two things before we forget. The first is we got to come over here and make a bunch of industrial grade lubricant. These are done, correct? Great. They're full actually, so that's not good. We're going to put this stuff in the buggy. There should be something in here now. Yep. Put that in the buggy too. Looks like we overflowed a little bit. That's another thing. Notice this says circuit 6. Over here, storage. Everything inputting, what it takes from, is on circuit 1. That's where I have all of my resources and supplies. Everything in these big chests here are all circuit 1. But my output goes specifically to circuit 6, which is only this chest right here beside it. This way, if my storage ever fills up on a refinery, when it has overflow, it's going to put it somewhere. It's going to put it in that room right there, in that box right there. I don't have to go running around and finding it and who knows where. Until I do that, if I took that off and made this all circuit 1s, I believe it sticks it in a box up in the hangar. I found cobalt paste just in a box. I was like, what the heck is going on? I was like, oh, I never set this up. Now that I've set this up, anytime there's too much stuff, whether it's space or volume, it automatically defaults into this guy. And then you just basically want to try to make sure you keep this thing empty. That's some handy wisdom right there for you. So how much of this stuff can we make? A whole bunch, because we got a bunch of spice residue and some blocks. What I'm going to do is set this up to make spice bloom very close. We're going to set this up to make a bunch of this, because we need it here as well as down there at the monastery. We'll do 400. Boop. Now this stuff is going to be able to stay in blocks of 100, so the storage should hold it. Shouldn't be an issue. But we're going to let that go, and then we'll take all of that. We'll put it into our Thopter. We also need to go over and see if we can get some spice brewing, and then we're also going to make some more filters. Oh, we needed 1200, but you know what? We're in great shape because 1, 2, are we? Oh, yeah, okay. Boom, there we go. No more 25% reduction from the lads rad, so I need a full 10,000 in order to get this big boy churning. So we'll go ahead and do that. And just so you know, look at my power, 26, 26. This guy only only ever have this thing on when I'm making stuff. I don't like to leave it. So, and we'll craft one. That takes forever, but we're good. And then the last thing here, we're going to go upstairs and upstairs. I do have a bunch of filters that I've already made, so I think we'll just take these. I'll just have to remember to put it in the Assault. I think we'll take the Assault down there. I just have to remember to make a bunch more filters. Let's take them all. How many can I make? Oh, I can make 15. What's killing me? The plant fiber is the only thing that's killing me on that. Getting close. Just max it out. And we'll let it go. So we'll head down there. We'll make sure the monastery is in great shape. Probably going to make a couple trips out into the deep desert just to see if I can get some materials. I'm actually starting to run out of plastanium ingots. I know it says I got 600 in there, but you know, when you look at all the other things, spice residue, I've got 16,000. I've got 1,000 spice melange. I've got 9,000 silicone blocks. I like to keep those numbers way high. Got to go get plant fiber again. There's another thing. Never skip out on plant fiber, man. Plant fibers for filters, plant fibers for some clothing. You'd be surprised how much you use plant fiber, and you get used to not caring because you see it everywhere. I got plant fiber. I usually grab as much, like when I go out on a killing spree or something with the Mosquerite, I pick up a bunch of plant fibers and bring them back. You can tell I haven't done that in a long time. I haven't killed any slavers or any of those people, so I haven't been really going to the areas that have those. But yeah, don't skimp out on plant fiber, guys. You'd be surprised how often you need to have that. So we're going to we'll probably take one of these stacks and take it down, because there's 4 units down there, just like there is here. I know I'm full. I filled these guys up on Monday here at my main base, so I've only got 2 days on the filters that are here. So they should each probably only need 1 or 2. We'll figure it out. Might have to go get plant fibers, to be honest. Anyway, so I hope some of the advice in here will help you on your journey, give you some ideas, and make things a little bit easier on you. We're going to be mixing Battlefield and Dune together. I don't know if we're going to do both in the same night, or maybe we'll transition one of the nights to strictly Battlefield, and then just, when I'm not streaming, we'll do whatever. We might also coincide with things like DLC releases and such, because like right now there's not a whole lot to do except kind of keep things running, patch some holes, make a little minor changes and stuff. But as far as DLC and content goes, we're kind of in that in-between spot as far as Dune goes. However, Battlefield just released yesterday, so it's got all big huge world of brand new stuff that we have to figure out, and we might switch over to doing a few more streams a week for Battlefield until Battlefield gets to that point. Just kind of alternate between the two. I don't know if I want to pick up a fourth day. I'm really not sure. So I've just got some thinking to do. And we'll see where it goes from there. We've had a cold spell here where I live. That's why we're comfortable in our t-shirt, even though this room gets hot as heck. The monitors and everything else running, the lighting. But we are getting into the depths of winter very soon, sooner than I would like. So we'll see. But anyway, I'm going to call it there. We'll run this down to the monastery once we get all that lubricant done. We'll get those machines up and running and make sure everything's all super awesome and ready to roll and nothing's going to break. And we're going to take some time and think about how we want to live our lives now, and whether or not we want to hey, what we're gonna put it all over here, and then we'll come back here and we're gonna put some back. I know I could have just dropped them into come on. I know we could have just dropped them into the backpack and done it, but why would we bother doing that? Let's get this thing turned off though, because we are definitely running weird on our power. I think that guy might be on. Sure is. He doesn't need to be on, because we already made this stuff. Boop. That helps. Big units. Take the big power. But anyway, that was a pretty cool night. We got a couple things done. Drink some more water while we're sitting at it. Hope my advice helped out. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Drop a comment here. You can reach out directly to me through YouTube. And we got a couple things besides the integration of Battlefield 6 into our Dune universe. There's a couple other things that we've got coming up that are some changes to the channel. And hopefully they work out the way I think and hope they will. So we'll have to see though. But anyway, thank you for hanging out with me tonight, and we're going to call it. So, as always, I will see you out there. Take care.